My name is Nana May, and I thought hiding in my son's car would be a sweet surprise. I had no idea it would break something inside me forever. I'm 71 years old. I raised my son alone. I sacrificed everything so he could have a better life. So when he said, "Mom, wait in the car," "I'll be right back," I smiled. I thought he was planning something for me. I slid into the back seat quietly, held my breath. My heart was racing like a young girl's. Then the driver's door opened. I expected my son. Instead, someone else sat down beside him. A woman, laughing, too comfortable. And the way my son looked at her, my chest tightened, because in that moment I realized something terrifying. I wasn't the surprise. I was the secret. And what I heard next made me wish I had never hidden in that car. Let me tell you what really happened. My name is Nana May, and I wish I had never hidden in that car. I still remember the smell of the leather seats. Clean, familiar. The same car I helped my son buy when he couldn't afford the down payment. I told myself it was just for a minute. Just a little surprise. At 71, you don't get many chances to surprise your children anymore. Life becomes reminders and prescriptions and quiet phone calls that end too quickly. So when my son Daniel said, "Mom, wait here," "I'll be right back," something inside me sparked. I smiled like a fool. "All right," I said, pretending not to care. But my heart was already planning something else. He stepped out of the car and closed the door behind him. The parking lot was noisy, shopping carts rattling, engines starting, people laughing. I watched his reflection fade in the side mirror. And then I did it. I slid into the back seat. Slowly, quietly, like a child playing hide and seek. I tucked my purse beside me and pulled my coat tighter. My heart was pounding, but it felt good. Young. Excited. He'll open the door, I thought. And I'll say surprise. He'll laugh. He always used to laugh. I sat there smiling to myself, waiting. Seconds passed. Then minutes. I started to feel silly. Maybe he got distracted. Maybe he was picking something up from the store. Then I heard footsteps. The driver's door opened. My breath caught. I leaned forward slightly, already rehearsing my smile. But Daniel didn't get in alone. Someone else slid into the passenger seat first. A woman. She smelled like perfume. Not overpowering, just enough to announce her presence. Her laugh filled the car before she even sat down. "Oh my God, I thought you were never coming back," she said, playful. "Comfortable. Too comfortable." Daniel chuckled. "I told you it was just a minute." I froze. My hands went cold. I stayed perfectly still, pressed against the seat, praying they wouldn't turn around. The back seat suddenly felt too open, too exposed. I watched them through the gap between the seats. She was younger than me. Of course she was. Everyone is younger than me now. Her hair was neat, styled effortlessly. She wore a soft sweater, the kind women wear when they want to look casual but put together. Her nails were done, pale pink. She reached out and touched Daniel's arm, touched it like she belonged there. My chest tightened. I told myself not to jump to conclusions. Maybe she was a coworker, a friend, someone who needed a ride. But then Daniel looked at her. Not the way he looks at me. He smiled differently, softer, intimate. I swallowed hard. "You didn't tell me your mom was coming today," the woman said lightly. My heart skipped. Daniel shrugged. "I didn't think she'd stay long. Didn't think I'd stay long." The words landed heavier than they should have. "Oh," she said. "Well, is she okay?" "Yeah," he replied quickly. "She's fine." "Fine. That's what you say about something that doesn't matter." I pressed my lips together. My eyes burned, but I refused to cry. Not yet. The woman leaned back in her seat, relaxed. "So, are we still on for tonight?" Daniel hesitated. Just for a second. But I saw it. "Yeah," he said. "We're still on. Tonight. Still on." My fingers curled into my coat. My heart was racing now, not with excitement, but with something sharp and painful. Who was she? Why didn't I know about her? And why did it suddenly feel like I was intruding on my own son's life? The car started moving. Panic surged through me. He's going to drive. He's going to take her somewhere. And I'm in the back seat like a ghost. I considered speaking up, clearing my throat, letting them know I was there. But something stopped me. A feeling. A warning. I stayed silent. The woman turned toward Daniel. You're awfully quiet. He sighed. Just tired. She laughed softly. You always say that. Always. The car turned onto the main road. I stared at the back of Daniel's head, memorizing the curve of his neck, the way his hair curled slightly at the collar. I raised that boy. I remembered holding him when he was sick, sleeping upright in a chair so he could breathe better, skipping meals so he could eat, working double shifts. And now I was hiding in his back seat, listening, unseen. The woman reached into the console and pulled out a small paper bag. I grabbed you that thing you like, she said. Daniel smiled again. You didn't have to. I wanted to. She handed it to him. He took it without hesitation, without thinking. A small thing, but it hurt. Because when was the last time he let me do something for him without resistance? The car slowed at a red light. That's when she said it. So, did you tell her yet? Daniel's grip tightened on the steering wheel. Not yet. My ears rang. Tell me what? The light changed. The car moved again. She frowned slightly. You can't keep putting it off. I know, he snapped, then softened his tone. I just need time. Time? For what? For me, she said quietly. I felt like I couldn't breathe. The silence between them stretched. Thick. Heavy. Then she reached for his hand. He didn't pull away. I closed my eyes. In that moment, something inside me cracked. Not loudly. Not all at once. Just a small, quiet fracture. The kind that changes everything. I thought about all the times I had waited patiently. All the times I told myself, don't push. Don't nag. Don't be that mother. I stayed quiet to keep the peace. And here I was again. Quiet. Invisible. The car pulled into a residential area I didn't recognize. Neat houses. Trim lawns. He parked in a driveway. My heart slammed against my ribs. Where were we? The engine turned off. Neither of them moved. The woman looked at him. You promise? He nodded. I promise. She smiled, satisfied. Then she leaned in and kissed him. Not a quick peck. A real kiss. Lingering. Familiar. I squeezed my eyes shut. My stomach churned. My hands trembled. I had seen enough. I opened my mouth. Daniel. My voice came out louder than I expected. Both of them jumped. He spun around, eyes wide. Mom. The woman gasped. Oh my God. I sat up slowly, my heart pounding so hard I thought I might pass out. Daniel stared at me like he was seeing a ghost. How? How long have you been back there? He asked. The woman looked embarrassed. Shocked. Angry. Long enough. Too long. Long enough, I said quietly. Silence filled the car. Thick. Suffocating. Daniel rubbed his face. Why were you hiding in the car? I laughed softly. A sad, hollow sound. I wanted to surprise you. The woman crossed her arms. That's not normal. Not normal. I nodded. I suppose it isn't. Daniel wouldn't look at me. I didn't know you were bringing someone, I continued. You didn't mention it. He exhaled sharply. Mom, this isn't the time. Not the time. The woman opened her door. I'm going inside. She paused, then looked back at me. Her expression hardened. We'll talk later, she said to Daniel. Then she left. The door slammed. Daniel and I sat there alone. He stared at the dashboard. I stared at my hands. Finally, I asked the question that had been burning inside me. Who is she? He hesitated. And in that hesitation I knew. This wasn't just a woman. This was a life I wasn't part of. He opened his mouth to speak. And that's when his phone buzzed. He looked at the screen. His face went pale. Mom, he said slowly, there's something you need to know. My heart sank, because I could already feel it. Whatever he was about to say was going to hurt more than the surprise ever could. I should have gotten out of that car. I should have opened the door, stepped onto the pavement, and walked away with what little dignity I still had left. But I didn't. I stayed seated, hands folded, waiting. Daniel's phone vibrated again in his hand. He didn't answer it, just stared at the screen like it might explode. Mom, he said, his voice tight. This isn't how I wanted you to find out. Find out what? I studied his face. The boy I once knew would never have let silence stretch like this. He would have filled it with nervous chatter, jokes, excuses. This man just swallowed and looked away. Find out what, Daniel? I asked gently. He rubbed the bridge of his nose, a habit he picked up when he was stressed. When he was 10, he used to do that before admitting he broke something. I was going to tell you, he said. I swear. I nodded slowly. All right. Tell me now. He exhaled long and shaky. She's not just someone I'm seeing. I felt my chest tighten. Then who is she? Another pause. Then, quietly, she's my wife. The word echoed in the small space of the car. Wife. I blinked. Once. Twice. I'm sorry, I said. You're what? He looked at me then. Really looked at me. His eyes were pleading. We got married. The world tilted. I gripped the edge of the seat. Married. Yes. When? My voice cracked. He hesitated. That hesitation again. Last month. Last month. I laughed. I didn't mean to. It just came out sharp, breathless. You're joking, I said. This is a joke, right? He shook his head. No, it's not a joke. I stared at him, searching for something. A smile. A hint of humor. Anything. There was nothing. You got married. I repeated slowly, tasting the words, and you didn't tell me. He flinched. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like? I asked. Silence. The house in front of us suddenly felt too close, like it was listening. I looked down at my lap. My hands were shaking. I'm your mother, I said softly. I'm not a neighbor. I'm not a stranger. I know, he said quickly. I know that. Then why wasn't I there? He didn't answer. Why didn't you tell me? I pressed. He sighed. We wanted something small. Small. So small I didn't exist? That's not what I meant. I swallowed hard. Tears threatened, but I forced them back. I would not cry in front of him. Not like this. So everyone else knew. I asked. He hesitated again. Daniel. Yes, he admitted. Some people knew. Some people. Her family. I asked. He nodded. My chest burned. So her mother was there, I said quietly. But not me. He looked away. I would have come, I whispered. Even if it was small. Even if it was in a courthouse. I would have stood quietly in the back. I wouldn't have made it about me. I know, he said, his voice cracking. That's why this is so hard. That's why. I let out a shaky breath. How long were you planning to hide this from me? He opened his mouth, then stopped. I don't know, he said honestly. I leaned back against the seat. The leather felt cold now. Does she live here? I asked. Yes. With you? Yes. And how long has that been going on? About 6 months. 6 months. My mind raced backward. The missed calls. The rushed visits. The excuses. Busy. Tired. Next time, Mom. All this time. I closed my eyes. So this is your home now, I said, gesturing toward the house. Yes. And where do I fit into this picture? I asked. He was quiet. That answer told me everything. The phone vibrated again. This time he answered. Yeah, he said. She knows. A pause. I'll talk to her. He hung up and looked at me. She's upset. I smiled sadly. Of course she is. She didn't know you were in the car. I gathered that. Another heavy silence. Then I noticed something. A folder sticking out of the glove compartment. White. Thick. My heart skipped. What's that? I asked. Daniel followed my gaze. Oh, he said quickly, reaching for it. Nothing. Nothing. He pulled it out anyway. Too late. The corner bent, revealing printed text. Legal text. My stomach dropped. Daniel, I said slowly, what is that? He hesitated, then handed it to me. It's just paperwork. I took it with trembling hands. The words blurred at first. My eyes weren't what they used to be. But then they focused. Marriage certificate. Property transfer agreement. My breath caught. Property. What property? I asked. He shifted in his seat. Mom. I flipped the page. And there it was. My address. My house. The one I'd lived in for 42 years. The one I paid for. The one I let him stay in after college. My heart pounded so loudly I could hear it in my ears. Why is my house on this paper? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. He looked panicked now. It's not what you think. When were you going to tell me you put my house in your wife's name? I asked. His face drained of color. We didn't put it in her name, he said quickly. It's just temporary. Temporary. My vision swam. You needed collateral, he continued. For the loan. The bank. You used my house, I said, cutting him off without telling me. I was going to explain. When? I snapped. He flinched. You signed something, I said slowly. Didn't you? He didn't answer. Daniel, I said, my voice rising. Did you sign something for me? Tears spilled over then. I couldn't stop them. Mom, please, he said. I didn't think it would be a problem. A problem? That house is the only thing I have, I whispered. It's my security. My safety. We're family, he said desperately. It's still your house. I laughed bitterly. Then why isn't my name the only one on it? He looked away. That was the answer. I felt humiliated. Used. Stupid. I had trusted him. Blindly. The car felt too small. Too tight. I need to go home, I said. He nodded quickly. I'll take you. No, I said. I'll walk. Mom. I need air. I opened the door and stepped out. My legs felt weak, but I stood upright. I would not crumble in front of that house. I turned back to him. When were you going to tell me? I asked quietly. He swallowed. After everything was finalized. Finalized. I nodded slowly. That's what I thought. I closed the door gently. And as I walked away, I felt something shift inside me. Something hard. Something cold. Because in that moment, I realized this wasn't just about a wedding I missed. This was about control. About decisions being made for me. About my life quietly changing without my consent. And as I reached the sidewalk, I heard Daniel call my name. But I didn't turn around, because I already knew. This was only the beginning. I should have stayed home that day, but I didn't. I had to see it with my own eyes. The car, the folder, the truth. It had broken something inside me. By the time I walked back into my house, shaking, my phone was buzzing. Nonstop. Messages. Notifications. Pings. Alerts. I had no idea what I was walking into. It was the family group chat. I stared at the screen. Welcome, Nana May. I wasn't just late to the news. I was late to the conversation about my own son's wedding, my own family, my own home. I opened the chat. The first message was from my daughter-in-law. Hi, Nana. So glad you're here. Smiley face. A smiley face. I stared at it. I wanted to throw the phone across the room. I typed something polite. Hello. Then I scrolled. Photos. Dozens of them. Daniel and his wife, laughing at their small wedding. Pictures of the house, perfectly staged. The cake. The rings. The family I wasn't allowed to see. And then my brother-in-law. A video. It started innocently enough. Daniel signing papers. The camera angle was perfect. The lighting flawless. Until the words on the screen hit me. Property transfer agreement signed today. Mom's name included as co-signer. I froze. Included as co-signer. Without my knowledge. I stared at the screen like it had insulted me personally. Every time I blinked, the images blurred. I felt dizzy. Angry, humiliated. I scrolled further, and there she was, the woman in the car, laughing, looking at my son like I had never existed. And there was the final insult, a caption she had written herself, so happy to finally make him mine. I couldn't breathe. My own son, my house, my place in his life, all gone in one afternoon. I wanted to call him. I wanted to scream, but my phone buzzed again. This time, it was a voice message. I hesitated. Part of me knew I shouldn't listen. Part of me had to. I pressed play. It was her voice. Sweet. Innocent. Calm. Hi, Nana. I know this might be hard to hear, but we needed to do this our way. Daniel and I are happy. We want you to be happy for us, too. Please don't be upset. I wanted to throw my phone. I wanted to scream. I wanted to vanish. I sat in silence, tears streaming down my face. Happy. They were happy. And I was invisible. I didn't respond. I couldn't. Another message came through. We'll be having a small dinner tonight to celebrate. Hope to see you there. Red heart. I stared at it. The bold heart mocking me. The polite words cutting me deeper than any argument could. I couldn't go. But then the phone buzzed again. Daniel. Mom, why are you ignoring me? We need to talk. Please. I didn't answer. I couldn't. I felt sick. Every muscle in my body ached. And then the reality sank in. It wasn't just the car. It wasn't just the papers. It wasn't just the chat. It was how easy it had been for them to leave me out. I had raised this boy, sacrificed for him, loved him unconditionally, and now it was all ignored. The next message changed everything. Nana, please come downstairs. We have something to show you. It was from Daniel. My stomach twisted. Part of me wanted to ignore it. Part of me knew I couldn't. I got up, my legs shaky, heart pounding. I walked toward the stairs. At the bottom, Daniel was standing, looking nervous. Beside him, she was smiling, the same woman from the car, and behind her a small box. This is for you, Nana, Daniel said. He handed it to me. I opened it slowly. Inside, a set of keys. House keys. The locks had been changed. I stared. Daniel, I whispered. Why? He looked down. I thought it would be easier this way. Easier. Not right. Not fair. Not mine. I felt my chest tighten. I wanted to scream, but I couldn't. Instead, I walked back upstairs, locked the door, and sat on the edge of my bed, shaking. For the first time in my life, I didn't know what to do. And that's when it hit me. This wasn't about a wedding anymore. It wasn't about a house. It was about control. They had taken my son, my home, my place in the family, and done it all quietly, digitally, while I sat in the backseat of a car, unaware. I realized then, I had no idea who I was anymore. And worse, I wasn't even sure I wanted to find out. I should have known something was wrong the moment I stepped into the living room. The air smelled different. Not like home. It smelled staged. Flowers, candles, perfume, a cake, all perfectly arranged. Daniel and his wife, my daughter-in-law, smiled at me as if everything were normal. Mom, you're here, Daniel said. His voice was too cheerful, too practiced. I didn't answer. I just stared. Sit, she said, patting the couch. I stayed standing. Please, she insisted. We wanted this to be special. Special. I laughed bitterly. This special? I asked. You hid a wedding from me, changed the locks on my house, and now call this special? Daniel flinched. Mom, please. But I didn't let him finish. You called me into this house, I said, my voice trembling with anger. And now I see it's all staged. For you. She smiled sweetly, tilting her head. Oh, Nana, don't be upset. We just wanted to celebrate as a family. A family. I bit my lip. I wanted to scream. This is my house, I said slowly. The one I raised Daniel in. The one I worked for every day of my life. And you just stepped in and decided it was yours. She blinked innocently. I don't understand what you mean. Daniel's face fell. Mom, it's not like that. It's exactly like that, I said. You transferred my house. You excluded me from the wedding. You thought I wouldn't notice. And now you expect me to smile. The room went quiet. Too quiet. Even the cake seemed to stare at me, mocking. Then she leaned forward. Soft voice. Honeyed tone. You've misunderstood, Nana. We didn't exclude you. We just wanted Daniel and me to have a little space to start our lives. Space. Space. I shook my head. You didn't start a life. You stole one. My son, my home, my trust. She smiled again. Patient. Calculated. Your son is happy, Nana. That's what matters. I couldn't believe the words. Happiness. That's what matters. I stepped closer. Not to me. Not if it comes at the cost of everything I've done for this family. Not if it comes by lying to me. Not if it comes by pretending I don't exist. Daniel swallowed hard. Mom, please. Don't make this worse. Worse. Worse would be staying silent while she manipulated my son, my home, my family. I turned to her. You've done this before, haven't you? I asked. She froze slightly but quickly masked it. I don't know what you mean. Yes, you do, I snapped. You manipulate. You charm. You take what's mine by smiling and saying all the right things. She tilted her head, eyes wide. Oh, Nana, you're being dramatic. I laughed. Bitter. Hateful. Painful. Dramatic? You call this drama. I gestured around the room. You call transferring my house, hiding the wedding, and pretending I don't exist not dramatic? Dana looked like he might cry. I didn't know. Didn't know. I shouted. You live here. You moved in. You ate at my table. And didn't think I'd notice. She leaned back, crossing her arms. I didn't know it would hurt you this much. I stepped closer, pointing. You knew. You planned it. And now you're acting innocent. Her smile didn't waver. It's for the best, she said softly. For the best. My fist shook at my sides. For whom? I could see it in Daniel's eyes. The guilt. The shame. The part of him that still loved me. But the other part, the part one hadn't realized yet, was already under her control. You have to leave, I said, my voice low and cold. She tilted her head. Excuse me. You heard me. Leave. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just said it. Calm. Controlled. Daniel flinched. No, Mom. Yes. Now. Her eyes narrowed slightly. She got up. Slowly, deliberately. I see. You want to fight me, Nana. Fine. Her hand hovered near the cake. Then she smiled sweetly again. But know this, you can't fight everything. Not Daniel. Not the house. Not what's already been done. I froze. Her words landed like a punch. I realized she wasn't bluffing. She had already won in so many ways I hadn't even noticed. And Daniel, my son, was too conflicted to stand fully with me. I wanted to scream, to cry, to grab him and run. But I couldn't. Instead, I said quietly, shaking, you've made your choice. But don't forget, there are consequences for everything. Even this. She laughed softly. Don't worry, Nana. I've calculated every consequence. Nothing touches me. Daniel lowered his head. He didn't argue. And that's when I realized I had to play a different game now. One where I wasn't naive. One where I didn't show my emotions. One where I had to figure out how to reclaim what was mine. Before it was too late, I took a deep breath, tried to calm my racing heart, tried to collect my thoughts, and then she smiled at me again. That same sweet, calculated smile, and whispered softly, almost too quietly to hear. You'll see soon enough, Nana. You'll see. I felt a shiver down my spine, because I knew she wasn't just threatening. She was promising, and I didn't like promises that came with a smile. I never imagined my own home could become a stage for my shame. But that day it was. I woke up with a tightness in my chest, a heaviness in my legs. The kind that comes when your heart knows something terrible is waiting. The phone buzzed again. It was Daniel. Mom, we're having lunch with everyone. It'll be fine. Please come. Lunch. I stared at the message. My hand shook. I wanted to say no. I wanted to hide. I wanted to disappear. But something inside me snapped. No, I couldn't hide anymore. I had to face them. I dressed carefully. Not fancy. Not submissive. Just dignified. I would not give her the satisfaction of seeing me weak. When I walked into the dining room, they were all there. Friends, relatives, neighbors, people I had known my whole life. And there she was, seated next to my son, smiling. The same calculated, innocent smile. Mom, you're here, Daniel said, as if nothing had happened. I didn't answer. I walked straight to the table, and then I saw it. The seating arrangement. Her family at the head of the table. Me in the corner. A sharp pang of humiliation shot through me. I swallowed hard. I forced a polite smile, but I could feel every eye on me. She reached out, touching Daniel's arm. A public display. A claim. And I felt erased. Eat, Nana, she said sweetly. I sat down, fork in hand, but my appetite was gone. Daniel's eyes flicked toward me, full of guilt. I ignored him. Then came the small talk. Mom, look at the cake we got, someone exclaimed. They pushed the dessert toward me. I smiled faintly. Inside, I felt like I was being mocked. Every gesture, every laugh, every glance, it felt staged. She leaned toward Daniel again. I hope she likes it, she whispered, loud enough for a few nearby to hear. Like it? I wanted to scream. I forced myself to breathe. Slowly, carefully. But then, the first comment arrived. From my cousin, loud enough for everyone. Wow, Nana, you really stayed quiet about all this? I froze, stayed quiet. I had, because I believed in patience, in love, in family, and now it was being used against me. I looked around the table. Everyone was watching, waiting. The whispers began. Why didn't she know? She must be upset. She looks hurt. Hurt. Understatement of the century. I felt my face burn. I wanted to stand, to yell, to tell them all the truth. But I didn't, because that wasn't the moment. The moment came when she picked up her glass, raised it slightly, smiled. To new beginnings, she said. Everyone toasted. I raised mine mechanically, but inside, I was boiling. I realized then she was winning the public narrative. I had been written out. Then Daniel whispered to me, Mom, please, don't make a scene. A scene? I had already been humiliated. I didn't need to make a scene. They were already doing it to me. And then she did it. The final blow. She placed a small envelope in front of me. Just a little something for you, she said sweetly. I picked it up. Inside, a signed document. It was the property agreement. My house. Her name added. Daniel's signature next to hers. I stared at it. Hands trembling. Eyes burning. The whispers grew louder. She's his mother, someone asked. Yes, Daniel said quickly. I looked at him. For the first time that day, I lost it. Do you know what this is? I shouted. Every head turned toward me. The room went silent. This is my house. The one I lived in. The one I raised Daniel in. And you transferred it without my consent. Gasps. She smiled. Mom, calm down. It's for the best. For the best. I laughed, bitter and low. Your best? My life? My home? You think taking what isn't yours is the best. Daniel's face fell. You don't understand, he said softly. Don't understand? I shouted. I understand perfectly. You lied. You manipulated. You erased me. A neighbor whispered, she's right. I glanced around. The murmurs of agreement. The judgment in their eyes. And then she leaned in, her voice silky, sharp, precise. Nana, please. You don't have to get upset. This was never about taking anything from you. It's about securing the family's future. Securing. Future. Her words hit like ice water. I see, I said. Calm. Controlled. Cold. You've secured everything except my respect. And my presence. And my son's honesty. That you cannot take. The room went silent again. Even Daniel looked ashamed. She smiled. Not a warm smile. Not innocent. A victory smile. And I realized this was only the beginning. Because now, everyone had seen me humiliated. Everyone had heard my son's excuses. Everyone had witnessed the control she had over him. And I had no idea how to fight back. All I knew was I would. And the first move would come soon. But she didn't know what was coming. Because even the smallest spark can start a fire. That night, I couldn't sleep. The house felt smaller. The walls seemed to whisper. And every time I closed my eyes, I saw her smile. Her perfect, calculated smile. I sat at the kitchen table, staring at the envelope, the property agreement, my house, her name next to mine. I felt trapped, powerless, and more humiliated than I had ever felt in my life. But I had one thing on my side, time. I just didn't know how to use it yet. The next morning, I went back to the dining room. The woman, my son's wife, was already there. Breakfast laid out, perfectly symmetrical. Everything staged again. Good morning, Nana, she said. Too cheerful, too polished. I ignored her, focused on Daniel. He avoided my eyes. I could see the guilt etched on his face. Daniel, I said quietly, there's something I need to know. What is it, Mom? Who is she really? He froze. What do you mean? I leaned forward, voice low, intense. I mean, why does she act like she owns everything? Why does she manipulate you, my son? What is she hiding? Daniel opened his mouth, then closed it. Daniel, I said, sharper this time, I need honesty. Now. He swallowed, and then he whispered, you don't know the whole story about her. I blinked. What do you mean? He sighed. She wasn't always like this. There are things about her past. Things I didn't know until recently. Things that explain why she's controlling. Calculating. I felt a spark of hope. Tell me, I said, voice trembling. He nodded slowly. Before she married me, she was involved in a legal dispute. She lost a lot. She's been through financial problems with her family too. She's scared of losing control. Scared. Control. The pieces started to fit. And that's why she's doing this? Taking my house? Yes, he admitted. She sees security as power, Nana. She's terrified of losing anything, so she takes what she can. I sat back, processing. Finally, a thread of understanding. But understanding didn't lessen the betrayal. I had to act, and I had to act carefully. I spent the day thinking, planning, remembering. I remembered every signature I had ever given, every document I had ever approved, every loophole in my house ownership papers. And then I realized something, a tiny detail in the paperwork, a clause she hadn't noticed, a legal leverage point. I could use it. I could fight. I could reclaim what was mine. But I had to be smart, silent, careful. That evening, I decided to test her. I walked into the living room, holding the property agreement. She looked up immediately. That same smile. Mom, she said, did you have a good day? Yes, I said. Very good. She tilted her head. Everything all right? I smiled back. Cold. Calculated. Everything's fine. I was just reviewing these documents. Legal matters. You know how boring paperwork can be. Her eyes flickered. Just for a second. And then she masked it with her smile. Yes, she said lightly. It's just paperwork. Nothing serious. I nodded. Yes, nothing serious. Except there's one little detail. I tapped the page. Slowly, dramatically. Her smile faltered. You don't need to worry about that, Nana. I've handled it. Oh, I know, I said softly. But I just like to be thorough. Her hands twitched. She was tense now, a crack in her perfect armor. And I knew. I had started to turn the tide. The next day, I went to my lawyer. I handed over the papers, pointed out the loophole. He looked at me, eyebrows raised. Are you serious? He asked. Yes, I said firmly. This was my house. She's trying to take it. I want it back. Legally. And I want my son to understand exactly what's happening. He nodded slowly. This could work, he said. But you have to move carefully. She's clever. She'll try to twist this. I know, I said. But I won't let her win. That evening, I returned home. I could feel the tension in the air. She was in the kitchen, arranging flowers. Daniel was on the sofa, scrolling his phone. I walked past them calmly, carried myself like a woman who had a secret weapon. Because I did. The first piece of her control had just been removed. And I could see it. Her eyes. The flicker of fear. She didn't know yet. But I was no longer powerless. Later that night, I sat alone in my room, phone in hand, researching, planning. And that's when it happened. A message from an unknown number. It read, stop, or everything you care about will be gone. Permanently. I froze. A chill ran down my spine. It wasn't a threat from her. It was something darker. Something I hadn't anticipated. And I realized the real battle had just begun. Because now, not only was my son's wife a threat, someone else knew about the house. And they wanted to make sure I would never fight back. I gripped my phone. Tears stung my eyes. But I clenched my fists. I would not back down. I had started the fight. And I would finish it. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, thinking about Daniel, thinking about the woman who had quietly taken control of my family, and thinking about the message I had received, the one that warned me to stop. A mother shouldn't feel powerless in her own home. But that's exactly how I felt. The next morning, Daniel appeared in my doorway, his hair disheveled, eyes tired. I could see the guilt weighing on him like a stone. Mom, he said softly, can we talk? I nodded. Sit, I said. But don't lie. He sank onto the edge of the chair, hands clasped. I don't know what to do anymore, he admitted. I want you to be happy, Mom. But I don't want to upset her. Or lose her. I felt my chest tighten. He's my son. My only son. And he's already torn apart by her influence. Daniel, I said carefully, voice trembling with emotion. I didn't raise you to be controlled by fear. You're my son. Not hers. Not anyone else's. He looked down. I know, he whispered. But she knows how to push my buttons. And you let her, I said quietly, not accusing, just observing. You let her manipulate you. Your mother. You're home, she's taken it all while you sat there wondering what to say. He flinched. I didn't want to hurt anyone, he said. Not you. Not her. I thought I was doing the right thing. I shook my head slowly. The right thing? Daniel. The right thing isn't giving away your mother's house while pretending it's a gift. He lowered his head. Tears glimmered in his eyes. I don't know how to fix it. I wanted to reach out, hold him, tell him it was okay. But I couldn't. Not yet. Because she was still out there, watching, waiting. Later that day, I confronted her directly. She was in the living room, organizing Daniel's files. She looked up and smiled. Mom, how are you feeling today? I narrowed my eyes. Stop pretending, I said, my voice low. I know you're enjoying all of this. The control, the power, the way you replaced me. Her smile didn't falter. Power? Oh, Nana, you're overthinking. I just want a happy family. I took a deep breath. Happy for whom? I asked sharply. You've taken my house, my son's loyalty, and made me feel invisible. And now you smile like it's nothing. She tilted her head. Maybe it is nothing. Maybe this is just how families adjust. I felt a rush of anger, but I held it back. I had to stay strategic. Come. Families don't adjust by lying, I said. They don't erase mothers. They don't sign legal papers without consent. Her eyes flickered for a moment. A small crack in her armor. I noticed it. I smiled inside. She hadn't expected me to see it. That evening, I sat with Daniel again. I laid out the paperwork, the loophole, the evidence. He looked stunned. Mom, you could really use this? Yes, I said firmly. And I will. Carefully. Strategically. But if she finds out? She will, I said softly. But she won't know when or how. That's the difference between us. He nodded slowly. I want to support you, Mom. But I'm scared. I reached for his hand. Daniel, fear isn't protection. It's a prison. And you don't want to live there. Not with me. Not with her. He squeezed my hand, tears streaming silently. Then what do we do? I smiled faintly. First we wait. We watch. And we prepare. But I didn't realize she already knew we were preparing. The next day I received a package. No note. No return address. Inside a photo. Daniel and I together. Laughing. Hugging. At my house. And a single line, written in black ink. Stay away from him, or this memory will be the last one you have. I dropped the photo. My hand shook. My heart raced. She was watching me. Every move. Every word. Every breath. And now she was threatening me. I realized then, this wasn't just about the house, or the wedding, or control over Daniel. This was psychological, and she had already begun to win. I spent the night thinking, crying, planning, feeling every emotion at once. Anger, fear, humiliation, guilt, determination. I thought about what I had sacrificed for my son. Every sleepless night, every sacrifice, every moment I put his happiness above my own. And now, I had to fight for him, for my home, for my dignity. But I knew one thing. I couldn't fight her alone. I needed allies. I needed proof. I needed a plan. And that's when I remembered. The old family records. The hidden documents. The evidence she never expected me to find. If I could uncover them. If I could show Daniel. If I could prove the truth. Then the tide could turn. But I also knew. She would not wait quietly. And the next move she made would be ruthless. I never imagined a single afternoon could turn my life upside down. But that's exactly what happened. The day began like any other, except it wasn't. I could feel it the moment I opened my eyes. The house was too quiet, too still. Daniel wasn't in the living room. She wasn't there either. I had a sinking feeling. Something was about to happen. Something I wasn't prepared for. I heard footsteps approaching. Soft, calculated. Mom, Daniel said, voice hesitant. We need to talk. I nodded. Good. Then let's talk. He motioned toward the kitchen. I followed, keeping my distance. Sit, he said. I stayed standing. I need to confess something, he said slowly. I've been lying to you. About everything. My heart raced. Go on, I said, voice low. I helped her. My wife. I signed papers. I didn't tell you because I didn't want to disappoint her. I thought I was protecting you. Protecting me? By hiding my own son from me? By transferring my house without my knowledge? I felt my chest tighten. My vision blurred with anger and hurt. Protecting me? I whispered. You call this protection? Erasing me? Humiliating me? Threatening me? He looked down. I didn't know how to handle it. She's persuasive. She knows what to say. How to make me doubt myself. And his voice broke. I let it happen. Tears welled up in my eyes. I wanted to scream. I wanted to hug him. I wanted to shake him. I did all three inside my mind. Outside, I kept my voice steady. Daniel, this isn't just about you being manipulated. It's about honesty, respect, family. He nodded miserably. I know I failed you. And then she appeared. My daughter-in-law. Calm, polished, perfectly smiling. Oh, are we having a heart-to-heart, she said, stepping into the kitchen. I clenched my fists. Step back, I said coldly. She tilted her head. I'm just here to mediate. Mediate? I laughed bitterly. You're not mediating. You're controlling. You're rewriting my life. And now, you want to smile like everything is fine. Her eyes narrowed slightly. I don't want to rewrite anything, she said smoothly. I just want what's best for everyone. Best? I repeated. Best for whom? You? Or my son? Or me? Daniel looked away. She leaned in closer. Her voice, sweet as sugar, sharp as a knife. Nana, you have to understand. Life isn't fair. And sometimes we take what we need to survive. Take what we need to survive. She wasn't just manipulating Daniel. She was justifying her actions to me. I felt a wave of humiliation, but also a surge of determination. Survive. I said, voice low, dangerous. You don't get to survive by stealing from your mother, by lying, by threatening her. This stops now. She smirked. Oh, Nana, you think you can stop me? I don't think, I said. I know. She walked closer. So close I could see the glint in her eyes. The calculated precision of every move. Every smile. Every tilt of the head. Daniel, I said, voice breaking slightly, look at me. You need to see the truth. Not her version of it. Not her story. The truth. He looked at me, eyes wide, torn. I don't know what to believe anymore. You believe me, I said firmly. Always. Because I am your mother. And I raised you with honesty. With love. With integrity. Not with manipulation and control. He swallowed. Tears rolled down his face. And then she did the unthinkable. She smiled, reached into her purse, pulled out a small sealed envelope, and held it up. This, she said sweetly, is the last thing you'll need to see before you decide who to believe. I felt my stomach drop. Daniel's eyes widened. What is it? He whispered. She handed it to me. I took it slowly, fingers trembling. Inside, a photograph. Not just any photograph. A photograph of me, years ago, signing a document. A document I didn't remember. And written on the back, in bold, black ink. Nana may remember this? Everything you think you own is only what you can prove. My hand shook. My heart raced. I realized she had found a weakness in me. A past signature. A legal loophole. And she wasn't done. Not by a long shot. Daniel looked at me, voice trembling. Mom, what do we do? I took a deep breath. I felt every emotion, anger, betrayal, fear, determination, combining into something sharp, focused, and dangerous. We fight, I said, voice low but unwavering. And we expose the truth. She smiled, that same terrifying smile, calm, polished, threatening. Oh, Nana, I was hoping you'd say that. And that's when I knew. The war had just begun. And this time, everyone in the family would witness it. The house felt like a battlefield. Every room carried tension. Every glance, every word could ignite a fight. By this point, the family was aware of the storm brewing. Whispers had spread. Neighbors had noticed my absence from casual gatherings, and Daniel, my son, was caught in the middle, torn between his mother and his wife. I could see it in his eyes, the guilt, the fear, the confusion. I decided it was time to act. I called my lawyer first thing in the morning. "We have to move quickly," I said, voice firm. "This isn't just about the house anymore. She's manipulating my son, intimidating me, and threatening my family. I need everything documented. Everything." He nodded. "You have a strong case, Nana. But it has to be precise. No mistakes. She's calculating. Every move counts." I hung up, heart pounding. Every moment counted. Every misstep could cost me everything. I then approached my siblings and a few trusted relatives. "Listen carefully," I said, gathering them in the living room. "There's been manipulation, threats, and my house, my life, has been taken without my consent." Gasps, murmurs, eyes wide. They listened. They understood. And, most importantly, they were on my side. For the first time in days, I felt strength, allies, witnesses, support. But I also knew she wouldn't let this go quietly. Later that afternoon, I confronted Daniel and his wife together. I entered the living room, documents in hand. Her eyes widened slightly, not fear. Not yet, but recognition. Recognition that the tide might be turning. "Daniel," I said, voice low but firm, "we need to talk. Now. Both of you." She smiled sweetly, tilting her head. "Oh, Nana, another family lecture?" "Not a lecture," I said sharply. "A warning." I laid out the papers, the loopholes, the signed documents she thought she could use against me. Her smile faltered, just slightly, a flicker of unease. This can't be," she whispered. "I've covered everything." "You can't." "I can," I interrupted, calm but deadly. "You think I don't know my rights? My son? My family? You think I won't fight for what's mine?" Dana looked down, torn. I don't want to fight," he said softly. I don't want anyone hurt." I looked at him, eyes filled with pain and love. "You're my son," I said quietly, "and the first thing you need to do is stand with me. Not her, not anyone else. With me." And that's when she made her move. She pulled out a small envelope from her purse, opened it with a dramatic flourish, and slid it across the table. Inside, a new document, a court order, signed and filed earlier that week. "You see, Nana," she said, voice calm, almost mocking. "I anticipated your little discoveries, and I made sure this wouldn't be a problem." I froze. The room went silent. Even Daniel gasped. This wasn't just manipulation anymore. It was escalation. A legal strike before I could act. Her eyes sparkled with triumph. "You can try, Nana," she said softly, "but some things are already decided." I felt the weight of humiliation. I felt the fear creeping in. But beneath it, a spark of determination burned. I looked around the room. Family watching. Neighbors watching. Everyone waiting to see what would happen next. And I realized this was her big mistake. Because while she thought she had won, she didn't know one thing. I had already found another path. A hidden lever in the system she never expected. A move that could change everything. That night, I sat alone, planning. My hands shook slightly, not from fear, but from adrenaline. Every detail mattered. Every step had to be calculated. And that's when it arrived. Another message. No name. No number. "Stop now, or your son will never forgive you." I stared at it, heart racing. And then I smiled, because now I knew. I wasn't powerless. I had allies. I had proof. I had strategy. And soon she would learn exactly what it meant to push me too far. The day had arrived. I could feel it in my bones. Every creak of the floorboard, every whisper from the walls, every shadow in the corners. It was the final confrontation. The moment where truth, betrayal, and courage would collide. I arrived at the living room, documents in hand. Dana was already there, pacing nervously. Her smile was there too, calm, polished, confident. "Oh, Nana," she said sweetly, "you seem tense. Is it time for your little show?" I didn't respond. I just placed the files on the table and looked directly at Daniel. "Look at this, Daniel," I said, voice firm. These are the truths she never wanted you or anyone to know. He swallowed, took a deep breath, and for the first time, I saw him truly see what had been happening. I began, step by step, document by document, every manipulation, every threat, every lie she had told, every signature she had twisted. I spoke slowly, deliberately, each sentence landing like a hammer. Her smile faltered, just a flicker, but I noticed, and it made me bolder. Daniel, I said, voice shaking with emotion, this woman has tried to erase me, to take my house, to manipulate you, to rewrite our family story. He looked down, guilt etched in every line of his face. I didn't see it. I thought she was helping us. Helping. I said sharply, helping by hiding the truth? By threatening me? By playing with my family? She opened her mouth to speak. I silenced her with a glare. This ends now. And then the room went still. I pulled out the final piece of evidence. A hidden contract she thought I would never find. Signed years ago, buried in my own files. A loophole she had never noticed. Her eyes widened. The confident smile vanished. Fear flickered, brief, but unmistakable. This, I said, voice low, is proof. Proof that everything she's claimed is a lie. I watched her panic. The perfect mask cracking under pressure. Daniel stepped forward, his hand trembling. Mom, is this true? Yes, I said. All of it. And that's when she made her move. A final attempt to regain control. She reached for her phone, hands shaking slightly. I can fix this, she said. You don't understand. But I was faster. I grabbed it, slid it across the table. Enough. No more lies. No more threats. No more control. She froze. And in that moment, I realized she had underestimated me. Daniel finally spoke. Mom, I should have seen it. I should have stood by you from the start. I took a deep breath. The words I had waited for years to hear. My son, I raised you to be honest, strong, and kind. And now you are. Tears streamed down my face. But I didn't care. Because justice, true justice, was finally starting to take shape. She stood there silently, eyes darting, trying to find an angle, a loophole, a way to twist this. But there was none. I realized something then. Power isn't taken by fear. Power isn't taken by manipulation. Power is reclaimed by truth. And just when I thought it was over, a knock at the door. Unexpected, loud, urgent. I opened it and froze, because there, standing in the doorway, was someone I never expected to see. A person from her past. Someone with knowledge of her schemes. Someone who could change everything. They stepped inside, eyes sharp, a smirk playing on their lips, and whispered, I think it's time someone taught her a lesson she'll never forget. I felt my pulse spike, because I knew this wasn't the end. It was just the beginning.